Third application of Nernst distribution law, solvent extraction. So far we have discussed the first two applications: association of the solute in one of the solvents and dissociation of the solute in one of the solvents. The next is the application in of this partition law or distribution law in solvent extraction process. What is meant by solvent extraction? That is, when organic compounds are present in aqueous solution, they are usually extracted out easily into organic using organic solvents like the ether, benzene, etc., which are immiscible with water. Usually, these natural products, they contain a lot of organic compounds, and they are separated by chromatography, and from water these organic components are separated using the solvent extraction technique. That is, this it is extracted with that water immiscible solvent, and this organic component which has an affinity for water immiscible solvents like ether and benzene, they will move more with this organic solvents, and using this technique we can remove organic compounds from aqueous solutions stage by stage, not in one step, but in several steps. Suppose capital V ml of a solution containing capital W gram of a solute, and it is repeatedly extracted n times with a fresh small VML of uh, ml portions of another solvent immiscible with first. Let the weight of the solute weight of the solute that remains unextracted in phase 1. Note that point. We are calculating the weight of solute that remains unextracted in phase 1 after first extraction, that is W1 gram. Then the concentration of C1 and C2 of solute in phase 1 and phase 2 respectively. C1 is W1, weight of solvent in phase 1, divided by capital V, total volume of the solute, and then C2 is equal to what is remaining in solvent. That solvent, second solvent, is capital W minus small w1 divided by capital V, that is the volume of the second solvent, second phase. So distribution coefficient K is equal to C1 by C2, and it is W1 by capital V divided by W minus W1 by small v. K is equal to W1 small v divided by capital V into W minus W1. KV into W minus W1 is equal to W1V. KVW is equal to KVW1 plus W1 mu, and W1 is equal to capital W into KV divided by KV plus small v. And this is the final equation we obtain. So weight of solute that remains unextracted in phase first after first extraction W1 is, we obtain the value like this, and the solvent, the solute that remains unextracted in phase 1 after second extraction is W2 gram. Take it as W2, small W2 gram. So small W2 is equal to W1, the initial concentration now is small w1 into this equation itself. We will get Kv by Kv plus small v is equal to, and we can write it like this, capital V into, since this small w1 is the capital W into Kv by Kv plus small v. We can write this equation as capital W into Kv by Kv plus small v the whole square. Weight of solute after n extraction will be weight of solute after second extraction in phase first is W into Kv by Kv plus small v the whole square. So weight of solute after n extractions is equal to Wn is equal to W into Kv by Kv plus small v raised to n. And K is the distribution coefficient in favor of the first solvent. To make Wn as small as possible, n should be large and v should be small. So in order to make in order to make the weight of solute present in the first phase to as small as possible, n should be large, number of extraction should be large, and v should be small from this equation. The process would be more efficient if the given volume of extraction solvent is used in successive small portions in a number of operations than when it is used at once in a single operation. So we have to use a quantity of solvents is taken first and break and separate this into smaller and small portions, and repeated extractions using small amount of solvent will be more effective than using it in a single step. The same amount of solvent when used in single step will be less effective, and if it we cut that into smaller portions and use this in successive steps, we get more efficiency in solvent extraction. This is the principle of solvent extraction. So we have to use small volume of, for a given volume of extraction solvent, we have to break it up into smaller portions, and the extraction should be done in small portions in a number of operations. Then it will be more effective than when it is done in a single operation. This is the principle of solvent extraction. Next application is determination of solubility of solute in a given solvent. Suppose excess of a solute is shaken with two immiscible solvents in contact with each other. C1 and C2 are concentrations of two solutions. So C1 and that ratio C1 by C2 should be equal to saturation solubilities of the solvent of the solute in either of the solvents. So S1 by S2. So equal to K. So this equation can be used to find out solubility of a solute in a given solvent. By knowing the solubility of the solute in another solvent. If we know S2, we can calculate S1. And if we know S1, we can calculate S2. And the next application is distribution indicators. Distribution indicators. Distribution indicators are used in titrations where the aqueous solutions are very dilute. And this dilute aqueous solutions, endpoint of titrations involving in titration can be determined, cannot be easily detected by our eye. So when the solution is very dilute, we cannot detect the color change. So it can be detected easily by adding a few drops of a suitable solvent immiscible with water, and this become possible due to the formation of a distribution system, like a distribution system in which K value is highly in favor of new solvent which we are adding. New solvent, it is referred to as distribution indicators. Such substances are called distribution indicators. They are added to the very dilute solution during titrations of very dilute solutions, in which this distribution indicator this solute has an K value which is highly in favor of new solvent. Now, such solvents added are called distribution indicators. So we can detect the endpoint very easily. We can illustrate this with an example. Dilute iodine solution in water. You are familiar with iodometric titrations. We have done it in your lab in previous year. And dilute iodine solution in water when titrated against sodium thiosulfate, we are adding, we cannot detect the endpoint during this titration. So we are adding a few drops of carbon disulfide, which has a K value in favor of carbon disulfide. The system has a K value in favor of carbon disulfide. Most of the iodine pass into carbon disulfide system, giving it a deep violet color. Mm, and the disappearance of this color can be taken as the endpoint. For distribution of iodine between carbon disulfide and water, K is very high in favor of carbon disulfide, that is about 400 in favor of carbon disulfide. The endpoint of this titration can be easily detectable in the form of disappearance of the violet color. So carbon disulfide is a distribution indicator. That's all about the applications of uh, applications of partition law or Nernst distribution law. There is one more application that we will discuss in next class. Thank you.